Okay. Hi everybody. I'm Shivangi from My Captain, and I welcome you to yet another live session organized by My Captain. This webinar is with collaboration with QFIS. QFIS is a mentorship platform with a community of experts who can guide individuals in their journey. Also, QFIS holds coaching and workshops on different topics to enhance the skill. So, if you're interested in that, and I'll drop the link in below, and you can check it out. So without wasting any further time, let's welcome the guest of the evening, Mr. Prateek Gupta. He is he's a senior product designer at Flipkart. Hi Prateek, how are you?
Hey Shivangi, I'm good. Hey everyone.
Okay. So before we begin, I just want to tell you something. If you have any questions, Prateek, can you switch on your video, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so before we begin, I just want to tell all the attendees who are here, if you have any question regarding the webinar, you put it in the question answer box. If you put it in the chat box, it might get lost somewhere and you won't be able to ask it later. Other than that, if you have any other question, technical question, you can put it in the chat box and I'll make sure I see those. So without wasting any further time, over to you, Prateek. Thank you.
Just a minute.
So you could start with what you're currently doing and how you got into the field and what you pursued. You could start with that.
Hey guys, right. So this Prateek, today we'll be talking about designing for AR and VR. And what we'll do is I'll walk you through a small presentation that I made that will have a basic of VR and designing and some information about UI and UX in AR and VR. And then we'll follow up and open for all the questions. Is that cool?
Yes, that's fine. Have you switched on your video because we can't see you?
Yes. I think there's some issue with the video.
That's all right. You can start the sharing the screen.
Cool, cool. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Cool. So yes, guys. So hi. So what we'll do is I'll walk you through a small presentation, and followed by that we'll have a question answer round, and I'll be taking your questions, and we'll be doing that in the end. And so yeah, let's start. So first about me, as you all know, so I'm Prateek. I'm currently working with Flipkart as a senior product designer. I'm born in Rajasthan, in Jaipur. My graduation, I did a BCA, and then I started my career as a graphic designer with a small advertising company in Chandigarh. And there I was working on flyer design, the brochures design, and all those things. In 2011, I got my first internship with a web e-commerce company. That was a service company where I started as a web designer, and this was like my starting point into web. And so from visual designer, from graphic designer, I moved to a web designer. So I was designing websites, I was designing e-commerce applications for them. And in 2012, I moved to Hyderabad with the information and identity management company where I started my journey as UX designer. So I started working on user experience. I was also taking care of user interface, which is the UI, but the overall my whole expertise and everything was moved to a user experience from 2012. It has been around 8 year, good 8+ years where I've been working in UX, and I've worked in multiple domains, including healthcare, e-commerce, gaming, enterprise data management, and identity management. So, and gaming was somewhere where I got introduced to AR and VR. So I'll be walking you through that and sharing my experience. So guys, just an intro, like in layman terms, what is the difference between AR and VR? We hear all these buzz terms everywhere, that, oh, this is an AR game, this is an AR company, this is a VR company. So just in a this thing, in a layman terms, AR is something where you get some virtual object into our world, into our surroundings. So just like, I'm sure like everyone must have heard about Pokemon Go. So where all these small Pokemons used to come and you can catch them in your real world. Whereas what happens in virtual reality, you as a user travel to some other environment, a virtual environment where everything is pre-made and you get all the superpower where you can do anything, and you are away from the reality. So that's the main difference in AR and VR. So AR is somewhere where we get virtual objects to our real world, whereas in virtual reality, we travel to the virtual environment. So guys, why this AR and VR is so hyped up and why we are talking about it today as well. So like according to the predictions, like this is the future. AR and VR is the future, where we are talking about like it's going to be by 2025. It's going to be around like five or more than 500 billion companies. Uh, the technology AR and VR is no more limited to games. So now it has not just been limited to games, but we are also talking about AR in healthcare, VR in healthcare, in lot of different, in education, e-commerce, interior designing, so almost everywhere. So these are something which is coming up. And the third point is, everyone knows like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, these all big companies are investing huge in AR and VR because they want to give this to every other user. They want to onboard all users to start using AR and VR. And like where all we can use this AR and VR. So as I was mentioning, that is not just limited to gaming. AR has been used in online shopping, product display. I'm not sure if you guys have used, so Urban Ladder, which is an Indian company, use AR as a feature where you can place all your sofas or your chairs in your real environment. IKEA does that too. And when we talk about gaming, everyone has heard about Pokemon Go, which was a really famous game. And then there was Ingress. Apps like Snapchat, Instagram, all the filters that you use, right, are using AR. Education, there is like different world of education has been opened up for AR, where students see all the objects live and they can interact with it, they can rotate it, so they can play around it. Automotive, I'm not sure if you guys got the chance to it, but a lot of companies in automotive, because of this COVID, they started this virtual tour where you can actually, sitting at home, you can have a look into the car, you can sit inside a car, you get all those kind of features sitting at home. So they have started it. And then there's healthcare, there's construction and interior design. And not just this, but there will be many more companies and domains which will be opening their doors for AR and VR. So guys, so yes, so now I want to take you and want to walk you through like what is the difference when you design for AR and VR? Is there some difference? Like those kind of questions, they pop up in your mind, right? Like AR and VR are like the latest technology. Is something being changed when we design for uh, these technologies? So my answer is, in my experience, there's nothing being changed in the whole. When you see a UX process, you still you plan, you ideate, you brainstorm, and you try to understand what kind of domain, where for what you are designing for, who are your users for whom you're designing for. So these all things remain same even in AR and VR. Then even the research phase, the analyze phase, design phase. So all these are very much same how we do it for 2D. We are already aware of things how, because everyone use mobile now, right? So we know how, what the process, like how these apps are designed. So a lot of the process, if I'll say the base of the designing, finding the problem, solving a problem, researching, analyzing, all those remain same. The crux of the design remains the same. The only thing that change is now we are no more limited to a flat screen or to your monitors or to your mobiles. With virtual reality, we have opened a 360 view of a whole world. With AR, we are not just restricted within a room or within a house. We our whole world is a canvas. So that's where a little bit changes are there, but overall everything else remains same. So next, like what are, like, is there been some difference, or there are new products that you as a designer we use to design for AR and VR? Well, again, I'll say like the initial products that we use in our designing for a 2D application or for a product for a web remains the same. The only place where it differentiates is rendering it to 3D. So initially, for the designing, if I'll talk about, like when you initially design, like you come up with a idea of designing a AR or VR app. You start with a sketching. You start with on a paper. You start wireframing it. You can use any product for wireframing. You can use a paper. You can use Balsamiq. You can use your PowerPoint presentation also. Then when you move to designing, when you can design in Sketch, Photoshop, Figma, Adobe. So these are all normal designing tools that we use today for designing our products, for designing our applications. The only thing here is to consider is now the canvas size. So now we are not restricting, as I told you, to a web app or a mobile app. We take a 360 view canvas where from end to end we design. uh, for prototyping, we use, I personally use Sketch because there are a lot of plugins where you can convert your Sketch design to a VR component. So there are plugins Sketch to VR. Adobe Aero is used. This is a very good combination. If you are using Photoshop or any other Adobe product, you can use Adobe Aero for prototyping your designs into AR. You can use Visor, you can web VR. The last one is 3D, where you actually pick up your designs and you move it to a 3D. So usually for gaming, and I belong to a gaming industry where I got it from. So they used to use Unity, but you can use Unreal Engine. These are two for the gaming. But when you're talking about characters, you're designing a whole animations. So for them, you can use Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D. Fine. So mostly, yes. My last kind of slide will be for just telling you some do's and don'ts that and things you should keep in mind when you're designing for VR or AR. So the most important is space. So now when you are in AR, right, and when we talk about virtual reality, uh, we are not just restricted to to a screens. we have moved out from those screens, right? Now we are talking about real-time objects. So how in real life, when you see some objects which are closer to you in a small, are very small, right? But the few objects which are placed far from you, those objects are really tiny, really small. So the same thing happens in a virtual reality as well. And these things should be, we should think of while designing, that the distance between a user and any other element which you are placing in the whole environment, what size should it be, and how far it should be. Like, you don't want some of the objects right on your face, right? When you are glued to your those headsets, your Oculus, the Magic Leap headset, right? You don't want anything or any object blocking your view. So that distance has to be taken care of, like where you want to place that object, how far it should be from a user. And the other thing is motion. So now when you talk about AR, when you talk about VR, right, we are talking about motion, a user movement. We motivate user to move, now get up from your place and move around the world, right? When let's say a Pokemon Go game, right, you want users to go around the whole city and catch Pokemons. When you are in virtual reality, you want user to get up from their seats and do different kind of motions, because uh, in virtual reality, motions are they are monitored, right? The motions, and whatever motions you do, that what uh, you are doing in virtual reality. So you want a user to move. So those kind of things has to be. So you always have to take care of surroundings. You don't want a user to get tangled in wires or to get hit by a table or a bed. So those things should be taken care when you are designing for it, or any experience when you are designing. Text readability and distance. So now a lot of different companies, they started using virtual space where a user can sit in the virtual office. They can read their emails, they can read almost whatever they do on a computer, they can do in a virtual reality. And the benefit of it is you can change the location. You can sit on a beach and work while you're actually sitting in the home. So, but you have to always be careful of the text size, the readability. You don't want like the text should be really small, right? So a user can read it small. Where should the text be placed when you take out your phone and you are reading something on a augmented reality, right? If you are reading an instruction, how big the text should be. So those things should be taken care of. Use intuitive gestures. So I'm not sure like how many of all of you must have experienced AR and VR, but in India, not just India, I think all over the world, AR and VR is very new technologies coming up. So whenever you give them, like I remember my first experience with VR, when the first time I wore the headset, it was not good. I was really shocked of seeing things and things changing. I was getting bumped into each and everything. So a lot of new gestures have been introduced in VR and AR. So when you get the AR kit from or AR core from Google or from Apple, a lot of new gestures have been used. So whenever you're designing, right, you have to be very careful that for whom you're designing these AR and VR applications or games. So what kind of users they are? Are they using mobile currently, or they are not using mobile? So use those gestures very wisely when you are designing. Safety, which is very important for AR and VR in my view. So when, like as I said, Pokemon Go, right, where people are running on road to catch Pokemons, you don't want them to get caught in, and they are standing in right in the middle of the roads and catching Pokemon, and they don't uh, listen to the traffic, or they don't pay attention. Like if a car is coming from somewhere and it might hit them, it might injure them. There are a lot of terrains on the roads. All of us know the Indian roads, right? So virtual reality, right, if you are doing virtual reality which has wired headsets, which are wired. You don't want a user to tangle in those wires and fall. So those kind of safety measures should be taken care of. The other one is viewing zone and ergonomics, which is very important. So there is these well defined guidelines, like how much a normal human is comfortable in moving their head from left to right, from top to bottom. So we should take care of that, that wherever we are designing, where our actual virtual objects are placed, those are in in those limits. So we don't tell user to see extreme left where he has pain in his neck, right? We don't want that. We don't want to spoil their first experience with VR. Another big thing is shifting to first person. So now all your designs are shifted to first person. Now, whenever you are designing for AR or VR, you always have to keep in mind that now you are the first person. You are doing all the different. Uh, you are in that virtual world who is performing those actions. So you have to design in that view, like the view that a user see, which is very much equal to what in current life, in current actual world we see. Reduce interaction cost. Uh, when I say that when we move to virtual reality, we are not just limited to screen size or a laptop screen or a mobile screen. We have a big canvas where we can play around, but it's a good practice where you don't let a lot of interactions or a lot of noise in the background in front of the users where he gets confused, like what should he do, what should he interact with. Don't put a lot of interactions everywhere. Don't put everything interactive where a user have to pick up a thing or where a user have to rotate a navigation and all those things. Don't do that. You should reduce interaction costs so a user can focus on what kind of work he is there for, what he want to do there when he's there. And the last one is follow guidelines. So when I say follow guidelines, right, a lot of toolkits are there, given by Apple, given by Google, and those are really good guidelines. So when we use their API to develop applications for, or when they use their SDKs to build an app for VR and AR, we should use basic guidelines that are given by them. And those guidelines are not just about a user experience, but also tells it about how a product, how an object should be rendered, when it should be anchored at one point, when a user should be moved, how he can be used. So a lot of guidelines should be used from these applications. Well, that's all in there in my presentation. So I think we can move to Q&As now.
Okay, so there's a question which is raised by Tejaswini Pillai. She's asking if prototyping can be done in Figma as well.
Yes. So yes, correct. So that's what. Yeah. So these tools, there are a lot of tools where so even Adobe XD, right, that gives you functionality of not just designing, but you can even do a prototype there. So yes, correctly, you can do a prototype in Figma as well.
Okay, there are a lot of questions coming up. There's Acharya Aravinder who's asking if we could suggest some softwares for low-end PC beginner designers.
Correct. So there are a lot of softwares which are free that you can use. You can even use um, for, like, you can download Unity trial version and you can use those if you want to just play with how augmented reality works, how virtual reality works. If you are very much interested in doing a 4D or building a whole animations, a lot of different um, using, so you can use Maya, you can use Blender. So all these are there for trials. So you can use those trials and get your hands clean.
All right, Gopala Sahit is asking what are the upcoming real problems that AR can solve?
Well, I'll say a lot. So if I say AR increase or that So when we talk about experience, right, we want whatever application that you give, right? You want to have a good experience. So like now when we see this AR being used by Instagram and by Snapchat in all those filters, right? You're not solving a problem, but you are giving a fun experience to your users. And when you use Google translators, right? When you travel to some other countries, you see different language being used, right? The Google, with the help of Google translators, you can scan those signboards in different languages, and you can get them translated Hindi and English, whatever you want. So these kind of things, when you go in a shopping mall, right, most of the time you get lost. Where is this shop? Where is, let's say, Adidas? Where is Puma? With AR, a lot of these things can be solved. You can actually just open your phone. You can scan your phone around a shopping mall, and you can see those points and you can navigate to them. You can see the description. So a lot of these things, like I'm just telling you few, but a lot of these kind of problems can be solved through AI.
All right, thank you. Prithvi in Marke is asking what are the advices to start a career in AR VR through UI UX.
Okay, so what I'll suggest is there are a lot of online courses, there are a lot of YouTube videos, there are courses on Interaction Design org. To name few, there are courses on Udemy. Maybe you can start going through them. There are a lot of courses which are free, there are a lot of courses which are paid. I mean, it all depends on you. If you want to do a paid course or you want to just do a free course and see if that suits you. So that can be some starting point where you can start learning about AR and VR and how designing, how UX and UI are done in AR and VR. And once you get a grasp of those designing skills and all those things, I would very much encourage, like how I started my career, do an internship. If you are keen on learning, just learning, and uh, look for the companies in India. There are a lot of companies in India. There are a lot of service companies in India who are doing AR and VR. Ask them, message them on LinkedIn, ask them if you can join them for internship and learn a real experience. You can actually experience.
Okay, there's another question. Is product management skill set similar to product designing? And if it's not, then what's the difference?
Correct. So I think I covered that here. So mostly the base of the designing, right? When you talk about UX, when you are talk about problem solving, when you talk about user interface, a lot of base remains same for AR and VR and for a normal, when you design for a web application, for a mobile application. The change that comes here is when, so like one change is the canvas size. So you are no more restricted to a HD or to a iPhone screen, to a Android screen. You have to think about designing an experience where the whole world is a canvas. So let's, if just giving you an example, to design uh, a chessboard, a gaming experience, right? That chessboard a user can actually in AR can place on the bed, on the table, on a floor, anywhere. So there's no limitation what a user can do. So you just have to keep that thing in your mind, like for what you are designing, and there are no limitations, right? So keeping that thing in a design, you still do designing on, you start with paper, then you go to all those design softwares, you still do there. The only thing that I feel is that changes the canvas size and your thinking, like you have to take care of all those points where there is no limitation, right? A user can't do anything.
There are a couple of questions about your project in your portfolio. So could you just provide some information on those the projects you've done?
Okay, so I think not projects, but I think I mentioned that I worked with multiple domains. Is that the one?
Yes, any experience that you have with the field.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so to be specific, I worked with the US healthcare, e-commerce, gaming, enterprise, data management, identity management companies. But where I gained my AR and VR experience was when I worked in 2018. I worked with a gaming company. It was a gaming startup in Hyderabad. and I think it was the first augmented reality gaming startup in India. So I worked with them. I got a chance to work with them, and that's where, so they were developing an AR game. So it was a multiplayer augmented reality game where you form a team, you become a clan, and then you go on the roads, you go to different location, and you capture the opponent team fortresses, you destroy their fortresses. So you play a multiplayer augmented reality game. So that's where I got introduced to AR, and that's where we even started exploring VR as well, like how we can put the same experience of this gaming into virtual reality.
Okay. So you specified earlier that there's a lot of scope for UI UX. How would you say working in India is different from working abroad?
Okay, so yes, so if I'll say like there is a lot of difference when I say that you work not just abroad but mostly companies where who are coming up with these new technologies, who are trying these new technologies like Apple, like Facebook, Google. When you work, and especially in India, till I know, like I'm aware of, uh, these companies, all these big companies, they don't have work. They don't work on these projects in India. So mostly done where they have their headquarters are situated with. So one is if you work abroad and specifically in their headquarters, you get a lot of interesting knowledge about these things even before it comes to India. You get a chance to work on a lot of pilot projects which might not even see sunlight, but those all are done for research, right? When even these companies, Google, Facebook, Apple, these people spend a lot in research when they are coming up with. So you get your hands first on those kind of technologies even before it comes to India. So you always have that kind of if I say that kind of kickstart ahead of when those kind of technologies will come to India. So I think that's the only difference. But if I talk about opportunities in India, I think there are a lot of service companies. There are a lot of product companies who started working in AR and VR and investing huge in UX, especially for these technologies.
All right. So have you worked as a freelance designer? And if you have, how did you start it? Because there are a couple of questions asking what the opportunities are for students, for college students.
Right. So yes, I did a freelance, but I think when I was in college, I think 2010, when I started my career as a graphic designer, I used to pick a lot of freelance project from a lot of websites. There are a lot of portals like eGuru, Odesk, these kind of projects where usually a lot of different companies, or there are different small companies who list their who outsource their design work. So just to start that, one, you if you are a designer, right, create a portfolio is one thing that I'll say, because wherever you will apply for such kind of job, right, they always want to see your portfolio, like what you have done in past. No one will give you work without seeing your portfolio. So design, make a good portfolio, and then maybe register on such kind of application, such kind of portals. Few of them are Odesk, freelance.com, Guru. So there are a lot of different. So because I did freelancing long back, I'm sure now there might be a lot more uh, websites which will be promoting, and where you can go and you can opt for such kind of freelance projects. So that's where you can start, and later on, make sure you deliver good quality work, because designer community is a very small community, and a lot of things happens by word of mouth. So you get more and more projects when someone, or maybe one of your client, he refers you to some other. So like that on.
Okay. Working on the same lines, I just want to ask you, what are the best tools for creating a portfolio? Like, what would you recommend that a student writes when they make that?
So now, because of course you are a product designer, and when we talk about AR and VR, so what according to me, making a PDF is too old school now. A designer should always think about making your own website. There are a lot of tools online where you can create a free website, right? You don't even have to buy a domain. You can just take those, you can just log into those websites, create your own website, put your portfolio there. If you don't want to do that effort, there are few websites like Dribble, Behance, where you can actually put up your portfolio, where you can put up your, and that is specifically for focused for designers. So you can put your designs at for Dribble and on Behance, such places.
Okay. So, in terms of working, in terms of money or making a career, what do you think will be better, software engineering or AR, VR? I mean, I know they're different bodies. What do you think people opt for more?
Correct. So yeah, Shivangi, as you mentioned, yes, those are two very much different fields. And what I'll say, making money is a lot depend on your skills, right? If you are in India and you are pioneer of some skills, right, you'll be making more money in India. So, but whereas if some technology that is like really old and you are still sticking to that technology, you are still designing for those old PCs and all those things, that's where a lot of people are there, right? So yes, of course, the monetary value goes down. So it's not just with AR or VR, but I'll say a lot depend on your skills. If you have that niche skills, uh, it's always you are on the upside, right? You will always been earning a lot. And what I'll say, so now we are talking about AR and VR, but I'm sure next 10 years, next 20 years, there'll be different technologies, right? So if like just make sure you keep up yourself updated, you see what's coming in future, you adapt those things, you learn about those things, and you update your knowledge about it, then it's always like money is always behind you.
Okay. There are a lot of students here. They're asking if design schools are better in India or abroad for masters, because this is an upcoming field in India. Not a lot of people know about it. So what do you suggest would be better for a person who pursues career in this field?
Well, if you want to pursue career in design, one I'll say that a lot. So when again we are comparing, right? When you talk about design schools abroad, right? They have huge fee structures. When you see, and of course if you can afford it, why not just go there and experience it. You it's a good experience because you are sitting somewhere apart, far away from your comfort zone, and you are learning there. Of course it'll be a good exposure for you also, the kind of projects you will get, those things. But in India also we have a very good design schools. We have NIDs, we have IDC, we have IIT. So these are big schools which are offering design knowledge and design courses, where not just about graduation but in post graduation, masters, so those things. So uh, even India, like if you are limited and in future you want to stay in India, right? And you're planning your future in India, then these all schools that I mentioned, NIDs, IDCs, IIT, these are well recognized in India, and you'll always have that edge if you are pass out of these schools.
Okay. Tejaswini Pillai asking us if you could share your Behance link with us, because I think it will help us, understand it better.
I'm not there on Behance, but I'll share my Dribble link with you. I'll put it in a presentation. In the end, I'll share this presentation with you all. So my presentation will have all the links where you can have a look.
Okay, one last question. Simrat Thalreja is asking if GD and UX are connected, related to each other.
Sorry, if what and what is create?
She's written GD and UX. If you, graphic designing.
Oh, okay, okay. Is GD and UX are connected? No, they are not connected. So when a graphic design, when you say it's a part of a design, right? But when you talk about UX, UX is a very wide term. UX in UX, you are not just designing a user interface, but you are designing a whole user experience around. So, right, like if I'll take example, right, if you design an app, right, and uh, you are you are told to work on a user experience of that application, right? So you won't just be looking at the how nice colors you have used in that application or how the buttons look like in the application. You'll be actually building a whole user experience around it. So when a user opens that app, right, what kind of feeling he get, what kind of experience he get, what, and not just that, like when you'll also be thinking about let's say if your application is used at in night mode, what kind of background colors you should use, is there a night or a day mode. So not just about a UI user experience, talk about the whole user experience, his emotional experience, um, when he's using your application, when he's not using your application, how addictive your application is, like Instagram, like how they force user to come again and again. So that's a part of a user experience, all the interactions and all. But where you talk about the graphic design is a kind of a design, right, where you are talking about the art form, like how visual design is, so like that. So
Okay.
even graphic design, I guess there can be a user experience where if you are designing for a brochure, right? How you're designing can actually motivate user to buy that product. Is it designed so well? What kind of emotions is your design throwing to that user?
Okay. So I think I've answered, you've answered all the questions which are presented by the mentees. And I think we had a really intriguing and a very informative session. So thank you, sir, for participating with us.
Thanks, Shivangi. It was my pleasure. Anyway, I'll be sharing this deck with you all. I would love to talk to you guys in person whenever you want or have some question, need some guidance. Feel free to ping me on Instagram, ping me on Twitter. Mostly these are the two places where I interact with most of the students or most of the people who have questions for me. So feel free to talk to me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prateek, for joining us today. And thank you for all the attendees for taking out time and joining us in this webinar. I'm sure all of us learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shivangi.
Thank you.